Welcome to Herbally Yours, an adventure into the world of natural medicine. Here is your host, Dr. Ellen Kamai, the natural nurse who will help you take the leap to ultimate wellness.
Greetings, and thank you for joining me, Ellen Kamai, the natural nurse, for another edition of Herbally Yours, right here on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. Herbally Yours brings you the latest information about the many facets in the world of natural living. Today, we are so happy to bring on board as our guest, Sherry Torkos. Sherry is a holistic pharmacist and a former fitness instructor, and also the author of a wonderful book called The GI Made Simple, the proven way to lose weight, boost energy, and cut your risk of disease. She says we need to reframe our approach to exercise and eating in order to counter our shelter-at-home physiques, which of course has been going on for the last year or so. This pandemic has caused a lot of change in our lifestyle, including not moving enough. So we're going to visit with Sherry about all that important information. Thank you so much for joining us today, Sherry.
Hey there, Ellen. Thank you for having me.
And I'm looking at your website, and anyone can find you there. That's the best place to look for you, I would imagine. And that's sherrytorkos.com, SherryTorkos.com. And we will have a live link after the show on the archive for people to easily find you and get to you. But let's go back in time a little bit, Sherry, because it's almost like a conflict to talk about natural and pharmacist in the same breath. How did you get to be a pharmacist?
Well, I was always interested in health and medicine. And when I was a teenager, I volunteered at our local community hospital. And I did that for a few years. And I found it really fascinating that they had all of these drugs that could do all of these things in the body. And yet I knew that that wasn't the sole solution to the health problems that people face. As a teenager, I also went through a significant health problem in that I had undiagnosed celiac disease for about 10 years. And I really suffered with that. Like I said, I was undiagnosed. I was misdiagnosed. As a result of that, I became severely malnourished. My skin was covered with eczema. My hair didn't grow. I lost my night vision. I was anemic. I was very weak, very ill. And it wasn't until I started following a very strict gluten-free diet. Well, finally, I was diagnosed, and then I followed the strict diet. I started taking supplements and was able to really restore my health. And I think the combination of, my interest in health and medicine, that early experience with suffering with a disease, that there was really no drug to treat celiac disease. So it was all based on diet and supplements. And so I just decided when I finished practicing pharmacy or finished my education in pharmacy that I wanted to integrate the two into the way I practiced. And I found I had really great outcomes. People were doing so much better with just some simple modifications in their lifestyle, eating better, using supplements therapeutically, maybe along with medications. And so that really inspired me to embark on that type of practice.
And truthfully, if we look at the history of pharmacy, pharmacists were actually always herbalists, and not that long ago.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it seems, in today's day and age, people think of drugs and natural products as two different worlds. But if you go back over 100 years ago, we didn't have all the drugs that we have today. People relied on plants and medicines. And still today in Europe and many areas of the world, there is much greater acceptance and broader use of natural products, dietary supplements, homeopathic products, et cetera. And I mean, since I've been practicing 25 years, I've seen huge changes in North America in terms of how mainstream medicine is starting to embrace these products. They are becoming more of the main way of, or an integrated way of approaching health and wellness. But again, in other areas of the world, China, Japan, India, a lot of countries, these natural products and dietary supplements are really part of, the primary modes of treatment.
They are. You're so right. But it's wonderful to have a professional like yourself who has knowledge of both sides and is able to use the right one appropriately in your books, what you teach, and the information that you share. So I think being a holistic pharmacist is a really fantastic joining of knowledge forces. And of course, your personal story also, where you yourself were suffering, pharmaceuticals alone didn't help it. And then when you brought in the natural approach, you actually completely cured a lot of those issues that you had.
Yeah, and I think, for a lot of us that come into the natural health industry, I know in talking to a lot of colleagues, we came upon this industry or entered into it because of a personal experience that we went through ourselves or our family members. And, I can tell you just from my 25 years of practicing pharmacy, the difference that it has made in people's health and in their lives. Simply, adding some basic things that were previously missing, whether it's, omega-3s or probiotics or digestive enzymes or, some simple little things that we can add to our lifestyle can really make a huge difference in our health.
Now, what made you choose this topic for your book, the GI, meaning gastrointestinal tract, right? The GI Made Simple.
Well, actually, in this case, the GI is the glycemic index.
Oh, okay.
But you're right. GI can also be gastrointestinal. And the two of them have a lot to do, with how we manage our body weight and how we control our blood sugar. And so the GI Made Simple, I had been very involved in the weight loss industry for many years in that I was an active fitness instructor. I have found myself often counseling and talking to people about healthy weight loss, which for me was never about a fad diet. I know some people do get success with, say, the keto diet or this diet or that diet, but I just found that practical, healthy ways of eating are a lot better. And what I have been seeing, and this is just a huge issue everywhere, it's not just obesity, but the growing problem with type 2 diabetes, primarily as a result of obesity. And using the glycemic index is a very powerful tool. It's not radical way of eating. You're eating the same foods. You're just making healthier choices, still watching portions and things like that, but really looking at how food impacts our blood sugar, which in turn impacts our appetite, our hunger, our cravings, and even our energy levels. So if we can pay closer attention to that through the glycemic index, we can lose weight, we can have more energy, we can feel better. And so I was really wanting to put together this handbook to help give people guidance in this area. And in the book, I talk about not just following the glycemic index and what that means and how you can plan meals, but I also talk about fitness. I also talk about the impact of sleep and stress and how that influences your ability to lose weight.
And boy, oh boy, all those things can feed into our topic for today, where we're looking at the fact that in this period of time, there has been so much stress and strain. But I want to reintroduce you and tell our listeners, greetings and thank you so much for joining us. And we're right here on Herbally Yours, the voice of Nassau Community College. And today, our guest is Sherry Torkos. She is a holistic pharmacist, and you could find her at Sherry, Sherry, Torkos, Torkos, .com. I'm looking at her website right now with lots of information about what she does and a blog and lots of other things to find out more about the GI Made Simple. That's the glycemic index, which helps to regulate your blood sugar level. So what kind of challenges, new challenges have come to us along with all the other challenges that the pandemic has put upon society and individuals?
Well, aside from, the worry about getting coronavirus and the consequences and all of that, just the reality that a lot of us are working from home more, depending on what area of North America you're in, you may still be under a stay-at-home order. I live in Ontario in Canada, and our province, we were doing really well until about a month or two ago, and then our numbers started soaring, and we are at a stay-at-home order. We're only allowed to leave our house for essential purposes. And for people that have, gone through this in New York and California and other places around the world, I mean, it's been really, really tough because if we're not outside doing activities or engaging with the normal things that we do, whether it was going to the gym or going for, get-togethers with friends or organized sports, less activity means less calories burned. And as a result of just that one factor, people are gaining weight. And then you add on top of it the fact that when we are in our homes more and we're working on our desks, what do we tend to do? Snack more. We're making more frequent trips to the cupboard, the refrigerator. So we're eating more. So that combined with less activity, combined with we're stressed, we're not sleeping as well. All of these things have contributed to the pandemic pounds that a lot of people are struggling with.
Yes, that's really an added stress on so many people's life. So it's really interesting that in Canada, I didn't realize that. Yes, you are in Canada. It seems like it's actually more restrictive than in the United States right now, where they're opening up, and the numbers are going down simultaneously. What are the vaccination rates like in Canada?
Well, more and more people are getting vaccinated right now. We had a bit of a slow time getting the vaccine rollout going. Now it's much better. I'm in the 50 plus age group, and it was my turn to get vaccinated just the other day. So I was able to get my first shot of the Moderna vaccine. Here again, our numbers were really low in Canada. Our infection rate, our mortality rate, we were doing really well until just a few months ago. And it took a turn for the worse. And so our government just, kind of put the clamp on things because we don't want to overburden the healthcare system. And the measures are making a difference. Infection rates are going down and hospitalization. So I think in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be able to slowly open back up and get back to normal, hopefully, because by then we will also have a lot more of our people vaccinated. So we're looking at, depending on what area of the country, anywhere like about 30% of people have been vaccinated with at least the first dose.
So, yeah, it's just when I'm watching the numbers, I'm trying to see if that really is hard to track, even if they upgrade the number of people getting vaccinations, which I'm not sure how that has gone in Canada. There does not necessarily seem to be a simultaneous downgrade in the number of infections. Because I guess there's a time differential.
Right. It takes several weeks because once a person gets vaccinated, we're looking at least 2 weeks before that vaccine is really kicked into action. I think if we look to what's happening in Great Britain, the country is opening back up. They have a very high, I believe it's over 50, maybe 60% of people have had at least one shot. And they have a dramatic lowering of infection and also lowering of hospitalization and deaths. So they're kind of ahead of the game compared to what's happening here in North America.
Well, it's certainly a challenge all over the world. And what your, premise, what you're trying to talk about is the fact that how can people with this excess stress and, what about things like loneliness? Very often when people are isolated because they're not going to their usual events, then they're snacking on junk food more. And what is grocery store shopping like in Canada? Can you go to the store or does everything have to be delivered? Those kinds of things.
No, we can go to the stores, but our stores have a reduced occupancy. So I think it's 25% right now in grocery stores, and you have to wear a mask and they sanitize the carts on the way in. So all essential services are open. So grocery stores, pharmacies, things like that. It's just, the hair salons, the spas, the fitness centers, those types of things are shut down. And I know, it's tricky when people are used to going to a gym to work out, but yet I've been encouraging people to get fitness in other ways, go outside for a walk, get some vitamin D, some fresh air. But even if you're stuck inside at your desk and you have a long day of meetings, there's a lot of activities that you can do inside your house. And I actually put some of these on my blog, some quick exercise routines for those sedentary days where you can actually use your desk to do push-ups. You can do squats behind your desk, calf raises, tricep dips at your chair if you have fixed armrests on your chair. So I kind of brought in my background as a former fitness instructor into my, tips and strategies on how we can, shake off this sedentary weight.
And, it is just stress alone can actually initiate weight gain without even eating more junky food. I have to say for myself, the whole entire year we were also closed down. Since I had already been doing a lot of online things, like even right now, I'm here in New York, you're in Canada, we're doing our radio show with WHPC. I continued my life, and even being shut in, I'm a person who actually enjoys being alone. So I didn't find it too challenging to not have all the things. And I found I actually exercised more and ate better than usual. Yeah. Because you could do yoga at home. There's so many exercise classes available.
Oh, yeah, totally. You can do yoga. The amount of options with apps, too. So many apps, you can have free trials, or there are even free apps that you can download to give you yoga tips. For me as well, the pandemic has not altered my lifestyle so much in that, I'm not traveling. I used to spend a lot of time traveling for media and doing other things. I do, of course, that from home, but my son is at home, and he's doing a combination of homeschooling and online learning. So I've been very adamant about us increasing our exercise, because normally he would go to school, he'd get a couple fitness breaks. So the 2 fitness breaks he gets now that he would normally do at school with recess, we actually, unless I'm actually doing an interview, we are outside, we're bike riding, we're walking, or we have a variety of exercise equipment in the house that we use. And I've also been showing him some of the exercises that I talk about and encourage people to do that you don't need any weights or equipment to do. So your body weight is sufficient.
Yeah, who was great at setting up those kinds of things? And I'm sure you remember this person. His name is Jacqueline Lane.
Oh, yes.
Jacqueline Lane, he passed away. He was elderly, and he was a real fitness guru many years before us, and even before you. But he specialized and even put some videos together of things you can exercise at home. And he would use like 2 books, and then you can put the first part of your feet on the books and just lift yourself up, things like that, to just do easy exercises in the house. But really what you said is true. Like me too, since I traveled so much, and travel days are always a loss. It's really hard to eat healthy, although not for me, because I figure out ways to take healthy food with me. But exercising, because we're committed to ourselves. That's what it is. You have to feel that you are important enough.
That's right. And you have to make a plan and build it into your day. And that's why I think, for those that are struggling but working from home, instead of feeling, distressed that you can't be at the gym or doing a regular fitness class, find ways that you can build activity into your day, doing, using your own body weight or some simple little things around the house. And same with nutrition. You don't have to make drastic changes. If you've noticed you've gained a few pounds, not that difficult to change that if you make some smart choices. Try to stay away from the snack foods, choose some low glycemic foods, and supplements too. There's a lot of questions that I get about, I've gained weight, I want something to help me lose weight. Well, there's no quick fix. And I'm not a big proponent of weight loss supplements per se, but there are some things that you may be already taking that you might change up a bit, and they can help you with weight loss, such as probiotics, which a lot of people are interested in probiotics. They're maybe taking them right now for digestive health. They're good for immune support, but there's evidence now that probiotics can also help with weight management. So that's something to consider. And even using a pre-probiotic, what we call a symbiotic, that can be helpful too. And these are, again, small changes that can translate into big health rewards down the road.
And is there a special probiotic that you think people should check for? Because there's so many on the market. There are some that should be, and let's talk about what that word means in case there's anyone who doesn't know. But there are certainly powders, there are capsules, there are liquids, there's different brands, there's different strains. There's a lot to know about.
Yeah, we say probiotics. It's, you're right. Probiotics is a term that represents lots of different types of beneficial bacteria. So probiotics are beneficial bacteria that we actually normally have in our digestive tract. Our bodies are home to trillions of bacteria. Some are good, the beneficial bacteria, the probiotics, and some are not so good. Those are the pathogenic bacteria that can cause infections and affect your health in bad ways. But what's important is having a balance of the beneficial bacteria and diversity. And there's been a lot of research suggesting that having a more diverse microflora, and your microflora is all of the bacteria in your system, having diversity is beneficial for gut health, for immune support, and also for weight management. So probiotics, think of those as beneficial bugs, a lot of health benefits. Now, prebiotics, that's a term that many people may not be familiar with because this is something that's just really started to catch on in the last 10 years or so. But prebiotics, they're the fibers, the dietary fibers that feed the probiotics. They nourish, or think of them as like fertilizer for the probiotic bacteria. Now, you can get some prebiotic fibers if you're eating foods like dandelion greens, artichokes, bananas, garlic, soybeans, things like that. They contain prebiotic fibers. And probiotics, you can get a little of that in your diet too if you're eating yogurt and kefir and kombucha and things like that. But what I tend to recommend for people, because I just know in talking to a lot of people, they don't always get a consistent amount of pre and probiotics in their diet. I mean,
well, how would somebody do that? How would somebody get these things naturally in their diet without thinking about supplements?
Well, if you had yogurt daily, but the challenge with yogurt is most yogurts don't have a specific guaranteed amount of beneficial bacteria because the organisms, the live bacteria in yogurt are highly unstable. They can be affected by temperature, by pH, by many factors. So while yogurt is good, and I love yogurt, especially Greek yogurt, it's high in protein, you get some calcium, you get a certain amount perhaps of beneficial bacteria. Same with kefir or having tempeh or kombucha. You're going to get some beneficial bacteria with these fermented foods, but you may not get the diverse range that your body needs. They may not be able to survive their passage through your gut and into your intestines where they need to grow and set up home. So for all those reasons, I tend to recommend a good pre-probiotic supplement. What you'd want to look for is a synbiotic. So the one that I take is Pro Plus Synbiotic, and that's made for people that know the Chiodophilus brand of probiotics. They're really well known for providing high quality research-based probiotics. They don't require refrigeration. They have, again, the clinically researched strains. This is one of the newer ones that just came out recently. So it's Pro Plus Synbiotic, and you get 2 grams of a prebiotic fiber, along with 20 billion CFUs of the probiotic. And
well, wait, Sherry, we need to define for our listeners, what is a CFU?
Sure. Yeah, I was going to say CFUs. So when you talk about vitamins, usually it's milligrams or international units, like vitamin D. We say 1,000 IUs, international units. With probiotics, they're measured in what's called CFUs, colony forming units. So you can think of that as the potency. Again, like milligrams or international units, the CFU is typically how we measure the potency of a probiotic. And this one, because it's stable at room temperature and it's actually been studied and verified to be stable at room temperature, you know that your body is actually getting the 20 billion colony forming units of beneficial bacteria. Now that sounds like a lot. Like if you're talking vitamins, you might be taking, say, 500 or 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. So you're thinking, wow, 20 billion CFUs. But if you think of it, that your body is actually home to trillions of bacteria, you need a good amount of these beneficial bacteria. And they can be upset by a lot of factors. Like if you're stressed, if you take antibiotics or antacids, these types of things can throw your digestive system off by depleting the levels of your beneficial bacteria in your system.
So that's, a wonderful tip. And of course, what about having healthy snacks in your home so that that's what you have to choose from when you're stuck at home on lockdown?
Yes, and that is so important because let's face it, even if you have strong willpower, if there are snack foods in the cupboard and they're in the cupboard, you're going to find temptation. And so not buying those snack foods, or if you want an indulgence, try to find a healthy indulgence. I mean, I love the fact that even today you can find healthier types of potato chips, or if say your Cheesies was a snack that you always liked, there actually are healthier versions made of puffed chickpea flour. So there are super healthy snacks that you can get. If you shop in the health food aisle of your grocery store, if you shop in a health food store, you're going to find healthier snacks that are higher in fiber, without the chemicals. And that's my big issue with a lot of the packaged snack foods is they're full of a long list of food dye and chemicals. So stay away from that junk. Look for healthier snacks that have protein and fiber. Because getting back to the glycemic index, which is the topic of my book, choosing foods that have more fiber and more protein means that they will break down more slowly into sugar. Therefore, they're going to keep you feeling sustained longer. So they'll help with your satiety, help keep you full longer. So that's how those foods can help. And just to tie back in with the pre and probiotics, we were talking about the benefits about gut health and immune health. But both pro and prebiotics now have research showing that they can help with weight management as well by helping to curb appetite and to help stabilize hormones that are involved in calorie burning and fat storage. So that's another reason to kind of think about putting those into your supplement mix.
So, those are wonderful tips. First of all, what about getting some therapy so that you don't feel so depressed? I mean, that can help both with weight loss because you have a higher level of sort of self-preservation and feeling good about yourself, and having those healthy snacks in the house, and making sure you exercise every day. Like if you're home all day, even inside, I have something called a rebounder, which is like a little mini trampoline, and you can just go on that. There's so many great tips. So
absolutely.
We're going to be signing off here shortly, Sherry. Please give everybody how they can get in touch with you and, just like a little parting advice.
Absolutely. So if you'd like more information on the topic we discussed, you want to read about my books, my blog, you can check out sherrytorkos.com. It's SherryTorkos.com. For more information about what we were discussing with pre and probiotics, I serve as an advisor on a website called Probiotics.com. So you can check out Probiotics.com, go to the Ask the Expert page. If you have a question about probiotics, weight management, things like that, you'll find lots of great information. And I encourage people that, it definitely, this is a tough time, but if we make some little changes to our lifestyle, if we can go out for a walk, a bike ride, that's good therapy. It's good for the mind. It's good for the body. You're going to re-energize your system. You're going to have a more clear focus. Little bits of exercise built into your daily routine, along with some healthy eating, is going to go a long way.
That's wonderful. Thank you for all the work that you've done in the world. And thank you for being our guest today.
Oh, thank you, Jacqueline.
And listeners, thank you for tuning into Herbally Yours, produced in the studios of 90.3 WHPC, Nassau Community College, Garden City, New York. For further information, email us at whpc@ncc.edu. This is your host, Ellen Kamai, at naturalnurse.com, inviting you to join us next week for another edition of Herbally Yours. Until then, stay healthy.